Hello and welcome everyone. This is Dr. Flores and we are in lesson number 19, which is control schedule. We are still in the time management knowledge area, but we are focused on the process. Now, focus on the process of control schedule. So where are we? We are in monitoring and control. That is the process group. So time management knowledge area, and the process group is monitoring and controlling, and you already know that we have 5 process groups. The PMP Live Seminar Series is used to give you an update related to a specific process, but more specifically to help you think through questions that you might have on the examination. I understand the exam is tough, so we need to be able to consider a big picture perspective. In other words, what knowledge can we use to apply across the board and not just for one question? All right, with that in mind, remember that you get one PDU, one professional development unit if you're preparing for the PMP, and once you have the PMP, you get one for listening to the seminar after the fact. So now you pass the PMP, and now you listen to these seminars, which are recorded for you as well. So we'll go through, talk about what the seminar series is all about. For those of you who are CAPM people, this is very helpful information because the body of knowledge is the same. We have a short welcome. We'll talk about the topic that I will present to you. Discuss some key terms. As you know, vocabulary matters. And review PMP-like questions that I write for you. I have a lot of fun putting those together because I kind of have an idea how they're framed for you on the exam. A Q&A when we have a live session, but if not, you're always welcome to reach out to me and I can get back to you right away. Okay, so control schedule is the name of the process. There are, at this point, 47 processes. That will change with the new PMBOK. Now, even though some of you are listening to maybe this lesson with the new exam that's coming out in 2018, I don't want you to get discouraged now because the schedule or the definitions are the same. So as long as the process is there, the actual term is not going to change that much. So you're going to get value from going through these lessons. Of course, we do have we continue to improve the topics. So we will definitely be covering the ones based on the current edition of the PMBOK. So the control schedule, the definition, control schedule is the process of monitoring the status of project activities to update project progress and manage changes to the schedule baseline to achieve the plan. So remember, control means that something has gone awry. We need to take immediate action or take action based on the perform integrated change control process to get the schedule back on track. If we are behind schedule, we need to get on top of it pretty quickly. We cannot let this get out of control. Once the schedule is, once we are late, we are going to cause a lot of problems. So the key benefit of control schedule is that it provides a means to recognize deviation. So that's a key word. Deviation means that we are either ahead of schedule or behind schedule, and from the plan and take corrective and preventive actions and thus minimize risk. So now you see a crossover here where risk is now considered relative to schedule management. Risk management is a key topic or a key knowledge area that permeates throughout the entire PMBOK. The PMBOK stands for the Project Management Body of Knowledge. So here's some key terms for you. Work performance data. This refers to information about project progress, such as which activities have started, their progress like actual duration, remaining duration, and physical percent complete, and which activities have finished. Notice that work performance data changes depending on which topic we're talking about. In this case, we're talking about schedule management. So the data pertains to schedule management. Work performance data might come up in cost management, and it will pertain to cost management, budget, and so on. Now, project calendars. A schedule model, okay, so a schedule model is your schedule, may require more than one project calendar to allow for different work periods for some activities to calculate the schedule forecast. So we may have different calendars that are used, and it might be related to different resources or anything of that type, and we need to consider all of these calendars, not just one, when we're putting together the schedule model. And so, of course, one thing to consider is that sometimes resources are limited or scarce, and this affects the delivery of our work. Resources are people, equipment, technology, and so on. So if you need a big piece of equipment like a crane, well, you may not have access to it for a while, and or if you're working on a project to try to find an aircraft like the Malaysian airline flight that was lost, it's going to be hard to find all the necessary equipment when you need it, and it's going to be very costly as well. Now, the cost baseline. The cost baseline may be updated to reflect approved change requests or changes caused by compression techniques. There are two schedule compression techniques. They are fast tracking and crashing. So you notice that by just having this discussion, I'm talking about different terms from different knowledge areas or different process groups. And this is the key for you, is to be able to know that there are a lot of interrelationships between the different knowledge areas. Okay, so we must be able to look across the board and see that there are different factors that are affected for schedule and risk. And for example, procurement management and cost management. So think big picture. Okay, sample question number 1. The project to digitize 2 years of patient records is progressing per the schedule. The project team includes both domestic and global components, and for the most part, communication among the teams is effective. When controlling the schedule, all of the following are organizational process assets to be considered, except for A, existing formal and informal schedule control related procedures. Okay, remember the question is regarding OPAs. Which ones are OPAs, but more specifically, which one is not? B, stakeholder risk tolerances that include global resources. C, schedule control tools. And D, monitoring and reporting methods. Okay, so the way you want to look at this one is look and see which ones are OPAs. Well, you know, policies, procedures, tools, techniques, and methods. These are OPAs. The fact that they're specific to schedule should not throw you off. So A is a procedure, so that goes out the door because we're looking for the except. And then C, tools, is an OPA, so that one's out the door. And then D, methods, the reporting methods, is an OPA. So that leaves you with stakeholder risk tolerances that include global resources. You really don't care that it includes global resources. It's a risk tolerance. That is an enterprise environmental factor. So a tolerance is how much a risk tolerance is how much the organization is willing to accept risk. That is not an organizational process asset. That is definitely an enterprise environmental factors. Make sure you study your OPAs and EEFs, or EVEs as they sometimes call them, because these questions are pretty easy, but they're much easier when you know the answer. So again, stakeholder risk tolerances that include global resources. Please note that risk tolerances is an enterprise environmental factor. You see, this is the kind of question where you backtrack to it based on what you know. Now, you could actually have memorized stakeholder risk tolerances, but I'd rather be able to backtrack as much as possible. Okay, PMP sample question number 2. A project manager calls a meeting with the scheduling manager to discuss the progress on the project. A recent report shows that the project will be delivered 7 months late, and this news was unexpected. Okay, thank you for telling me that. Now, which technique examines project performance over time to determine whether performance is improving or deteriorating? So you're being asked for a type of technique. Well, that tells you it's a tool and technique, right? So which technique examines project performance over time? So think about the words over time. You're asked to look at something not immediately, not in the past, but down the road. So which of the following? Let's look at the one that maybe is not the answer. Is it trend analysis, stakeholder analysis, leads and lags, or schedule compression? Which one of these do you think does not apply? If you said B, Bravo, stakeholder analysis, you're correct. It has nothing to do with this question. It is a tool and technique of identify stakeholders, but it is not a tool and technique of this process. So that has to go. Now you're down to 3. Which technique examines project performance over time to determine whether performance is improving or deteriorating? Really, the answer came to you by over time, but we know that leads and lags is not the answer. Leads and lags is used to determine the critical path. So that is not an answer. It's a tool and technique of control schedule now. It is. What about schedule compression? Well, schedule compression techniques are fast tracking and crashing. And no, this has nothing to do with over time. This has to do with something to remedy a schedule. So the only one that is correct is trend analysis because it considers over time. It's something that we look at down the road. Are we making things better or is it deteriorating? Does that make sense? See how these questions can be kind of tough, but really they're not as difficult if you think about terminology. So the answer is trend analysis. This is a graphical analysis technique. I would also know that it's a graphical analysis technique because that's another way that you can be asked that question that is valuable in understanding performance to date compared to future performance goals in the form of completion date. So are we meeting the schedule that we said we were going to meet? And if not, are we taking the corrective action as necessary? Okay, remember corrective action because this is control schedule. Are we taking the corrective action based on a process, a very formal process, which we call integrated, the change control method, with the perform integrated change control method or process. Okay, so there has to be a formal process by which we take, we handle change. We handle whatever we need to do to get back on track. There has to be a formal process because otherwise people are making it up along the way. Okay, so not too bad, right? Not too hard, even though it's a difficult topic for some people. Schedule management, time management is challenging because there's so much of it. I mean, if you go to that chapter in the PMBOK, there's a ton of stuff. Keep it simple, all right? Keep it real simple and just focus on the requirements. Know what's being asked of you, and I think you're going to be fine. Now, repetition, repetition, repetition. This is the key. All right. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out to me. I'm here to help you in any way that I can. And let's get you to the point where you knock out this exam, okay? Whether you're taking the PMP or the CAPM. I'll see you next week. Goodbye for now.